Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons The Second Age. How are we all?
Great.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, without further ado, let us jump into the recap of what happened last time.
Well, last time we kind of had to deal with the aftermath of encountering the Cabal.
Indeed.
A little bit of infighting was had. Not too much.
A little? Well, yeah, I guess it wasn't as bad as we thought it was going
Well,
to be.
It's
Well,
still
we-
kind of simmering under the surface, but
Yeah,
Well,
it was like
instantly
a
got back to
third dealt with.
Yeah. So we tried to talk to the prisoners that we took. Not really great results, I'd say. The shapeshifter tried to kill himself.
Yep.
And yeah. But he lived.
which is not ideal. Yeah.
Yeah, we stopped him.
Yes. From there on, let's see, what do we do after? I think we headed over to the what is it called? To the West Brooks.
Small.
Small Brooks.
Small Brooks.
No
Small
one can
Brooks.
get their names right.
Yep.
I can.
Look, it's the Offals, the Rice,
can't.
Small Brooks, Banks, and the Doris.
Yeah,
Not the Silver Brooks, which is what I kept saying.
that's a
Yeah.
place.
Very different.
Very different. Yeah.
Like the Small Brooks had been cornered off, and we got through the blockade and found Chiron Smallbrook, who was cursed to silence or obedience, I guess would be more accurate.
Yes, cursed into obedience.
So we saved
the curse.
saved him and his wife, I believe it was.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
After which we learned a little bit more. We learned 2 pieces of fairly crucial information. First off, we learned about Sabero,
Yes.
who seems to be in cahoots with the Cabal. And then we learned who our, I guess you could almost say competitor is, or Oriana, who is from the she was from the Five Talon gang.
Yep.
And
We killed her
Well-
brother.
yes, and now she wants revenge, kinda.
Well, no, literally. You can't say she wants kind of revenge after all this. People who kind of want revenge
Well-
don't do this.
Well, she's hoping to get it.
People
but,
who
like,
kind of want revenge wait outside your bedroom door and then trip you over.
well,
I
she's
don't
hoping
think
to get
that's what they
revenge,
do.
but-
Yeah,
But-
no, that's.
like she's kind of hoping that like the Cabal will kind of beat her to it by just killing us in their trials.
Yeah.
And perhaps,
Um,
perhaps actually more specifically, it's not just she wants revenge on the Amber Eagle, but she wants to kill a specific member.
Well, Grim may have dealt a killing blow, but let bygones be bygones.
Let bygones be
But-
bygones.
I mean,
Although some people wouldn't agree, like Oriana herself.
Yeah. That's alright, we'll just kill her too.
Yes.
Still waiting for that message from Von Dahl.
Yep.
But it's
No witnesses.
God.
See, that was our problem. Everyone knows when you're playing Skyrim, if you ever accrue a bounty, you've just got to kill everyone nearby to get rid of the bounty.
Anyway.
What else we learned is we learned about, I think it was Chiron Smallbrook's one of his sons,
Yes, his eldest son.
eldest son, was down in the crypt, where he was being kept alive as a vampire, and well, we ended that misery because it was yeah, it was
We
miserable.
ended that misery.
Yeah, I mean, I
Well,
guess
Was
it's-
an end to the miserable misery that was the miserable extent of his misery-filled life.
Yes.
Well, being chained up and like
Yeah.
paralyzed due to a stake in your heart doesn't seem quite so pleasant.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
yeah, it's not great.
In a coffin, on your own, underground, while you're immortal.
And I guess the last thing that we should remember is we learned that the Cabal has an interest in a certain, well, we presume is the Demon Island that we learned about before we went here.
Yes.
Yes.
So we're probably gonna go to that at some point.
As soon as we've dealt with everything we need to have dealt with here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you learned that they were interested in the Demon Island as part of their search for some powerful magical artifacts
Yes.
that they need in their efforts. One of which you found the name of, I believe. And that was the last thing that happened.
Yes.
Oh, that name.
Yes, the one that you can see in Roll20 right now.
Yep. But good luck pronouncing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drunias.
Yeah, no thanks.
Druniazath.
Druniazath.
Bless
It's not
you.
Druniazath, there's not another A in it.
We can't pronounce like names on a
Yeah.
good day. Like
Yes. It's also written in infernal in abyssal. So yeah, you have to pronounce it as if you are an abyssal, which is kind of hard.
Yeah.
Except for those of you who speak it.
Honestly, I'm just obeying the rules of ancient Greek, which is just try and pronounce every letter and you're probably close enough.
Wow.
No, really, it works.
It's fine.
But yes, you discovered the name of the sword, Druniazath.
No one
And-
knows where it is, except for one guy who was a
Um,
friend of a vampire who's now dead. Well,
Yes.
a guy who wasn't a vampire, but then he was a vampire, and now we killed him.
It was sent away with the express purpose of hiding it, so that as few people know about it as possible.
So good luck finding out about that shit.
That's how you hide secrets from people who can read your mind, is to just not know where it is.
Exactly.
But yes, so as the companions of the Amber Eagle surface from the crypt and make your way back into the town square, what is it that you would like to do?
I was going to say, what time is it?
It's getting towards the afternoon. Probably getting towards the middle of the afternoon. It's like 3 o'clock.
Well, I guess what else do we have to deal with now? The only thing left is maybe one more visit to Paladin Ramos, maybe, and check on Catherine.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm personally going back down to the temple. I was gonna say the temple down below. It's like that's not what I want to say.
Nope.
Nope, not
We're
that.
not going-
That's
Went to
Wrong
Australia.
You've gone to a land down under.
but
G'day,
no, I'd
mate.
like
Welcome to
go
the temple.
back and- yeah,
Yes.
speak to all of them.
Alright, welcome
Yes.
to the Temple of Troitherian.
You'd like to go back and visit the Guardians of Nemoud.
Yes.
I mean, who wouldn't like to go visit Guardians of Nemoud?
Nemoud.
So,
Wow.
Right, gnarly, mate.
what are you doing? What order are you doing this in?
Do we have any preferred order?
I mean, I guess we should probably see Ramos first.
I
That
mean,
seems
we're
like it
more
makes
likely
sense.
to know exactly where to find him at this
Yeah,
point.
you also right by the cathedral. So.
Yeah,
Also
we're also
that.
right by the cathedral.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So, heading up the steps towards the cathedral, you do indeed find Balin Ramos standing guard outside of the cathedral.
Well, good day, Remus.
Good day. Hey.
day, Johnson.
G'day.
Balin Ramos looks up from where he's standing, sort of like hands folded in front of him, and sort of says, "So, what have you to report?"
I mean, Elizabeth probably looks around and goes, maybe not here.
Balin Ramos looks around and says,
This,
Well, I don't
There's
know,
not-
you
we
wanted to
can-
keep stuff kind of on the hush, didn't you?
well, I don't think this will be. There's nothing really secret we have to discuss.
It depends, I can
Alright.
find us a private place, but I just was expecting a brief recap.
That's for those. I think all we needed to, all we want to mention is that we'll be heading out soon. We, well, we also learned a little bit more about small brooks. Mainly that, well, they may have been forced into some things, and you might. We never actually asked. Well, we got to talk to them. At least the two that are still there, and I think they might appreciate some. I guess would assistance be the right word? They've got. I think you'll find out quickly that the barricade or the what's it called, the unpartitioning.
Oh yeah, the cordon, yeah.
The Gordon, yes. May not be very necessary anymore. But that's if you like. If you can. I'm sure you can talk to.
I can get a
To them.
full report from the guard later if that's necessary, but I appreciate you coming to tell me that, well, that things have died down for now.
Otherwise, we got to talk to the prisoners a little bit, and they've sent us in a new direction. And we're hoping. So I don't know how, because, well, I don't know how much the chaplain called wanted to know about all this, or if you want to relay anything.
I will let him know how things are progressing. He has no direct investment in the ongoing influence, but as a member of the Order, he will be interested to know how things are resolved.
Yes. There's one thing I should probably quickly ask the others about before I talk about it, because I need to clear something up. Guys, should we should we tell them about the the vampire that we kind of left in the secret area? Because that would,
Aware of?
well, in the just
One that we killed?
yes,
I don't
Iron's
think
son.
so.
I feel
I
like
mean,
shouldn't we inform them? I guess there's no reason not to, right?
I mean,
yeah,
I
I
think
guess.
that we should. It's better than somebody finding out later and being like,
Yes.
"The fuck."
Yeah.
I'll quickly check that there's nobody directly adjacent to like listen in.
Yeah, you seem to be like. There are very few people around, and what people around are a decent distance away.
And well, there's a little bit more cleanup you might want to do. I don't. Are you familiar with the little section below the main crypt that we well, where we were last time in the graveyard?
He looks at you quizzically.
Statue? Well, I guess.
I'm aware there's a statue in the crypt.
Okay. Well, if you, what was it again? If you turn the hand, was it?
The hilt of the sword.
You turn the hilt of the
Uh,
sword.
Hilt of. If you turn the hilt of the swords, you'll see what we're talking about. There is one. There's one more. Well, one more guest was left there. Although this one might want to talk to the Small Brooks about it, because they, they were they're related to it, but it was not by choice.
You were saying this in the most confusing way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just sort of
You
like.
couldn't say there was a three.
Yeah, I mean, Elizabeth at this point is just gonna sort of take over and be like, look, okay, summarizing what we found out, because honestly, Grim's confusing me. Summarize what we found out. Shady
And
business
Arya's
practices. Shady business
Yeah.
practices led to, followed by poor decision making, led to being manipulated, and we found out why the son's tomb was kind of not there, because it's actually in an underground bit, and then even within the underground bit, it's hidden away behind a wall. And he was a vampire's thrall, which is why he wasn't dead.
But we took care of the vampire, so it's no.
The paladin still looks very confused, but is like, think I'm going to need some time to process exactly what it is that you're telling me here, but
Well,
I mean,
well,
the
actually,
small books could
considering we're just
probably-
around the corner, if you really want to, we can show you.
I think I understand what it is that you're saying, but
Okay, there's a dead vampire in your crypt.
I got that far, yes.
Okay, good.
I don't know. I kind of want to say be lenient on the small brooks because it kind of wasn't their fault.
Oh,
Well, I mean, it kind of was, but also like most of the stuff wasn't their fault. They just did a stupid thing that led to being manipulated to do more stupid things.
Well, they traded in illegal artifacts, and well, you can see the mess that came from it. So that's up to you. We're not here. Well, your investigation is already in progress, so I'm sure you'll be fine.
I will see what the investigation turns up, and from that I will determine exactly what it is that needs doing. But yes, you are right in the fact that perhaps a little underhanded dealing can be overlooked in the light of very powerful individuals causing havoc within the city.
But yeah. Otherwise, I think that's about it. We'll be, I guess we'll be here till tomorrow, maybe.
Well, if I have need of you for anything, I will let you know. But I appreciate everything that it is that you've done for us. I honestly wish I had a better way to repay you other than thanks, but
Also, I don't. I'm still also not entirely sure what you plan on doing with, well, a changeling. But I'm hoping you'll be able to figure that out.
I do not think that I will be the one figuring that out. I think that is for people far older and wiser than myself to decide.
Yeah, very well. Well, if you don't see you, if you hear anything that you think might be of importance, I guess you can always send a letter to the Amber Eagle.
Depending on what comes out of all this, I may need to do that.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, good luck. I hope there's not too much cleanup to be left doing.
Perhaps not in the physical sense, but I think it's going to take quite a while before the city's confidence is restored. Radiant Dawn is a noble organization. We have won the favor of the people many times, but I think there are some here who will perhaps distrust is a strong word, but there are some amongst the city's population who will now perhaps find us a little more difficult to trust.
I mean, yeah, those Cabal guys did kind of run rings around you.
They run rings around everyone. You know, we just got lucky that we managed to force them out. Otherwise, they probably have prolonged things.
Indeed, it's not every day that you have to deal with secret underground organizations that have access to magic far beyond our own abilities. Well, perhaps not beyond yours, but certainly beyond mine.
I don't know. I think these were even beyond ours.
Then I am concerned. Well, if ever there was a time to rally more allies, then I think it is now.
Well,
Best of luck on your travels.
perhaps if we see fit, we might ask you, but I think we'll be able to. I don't think it will come to that yet.
I hope not. He sort of raises a hand and sort of gives a short blessing. Just says, Pelor's light go. May the roads be safer with you watching them.
Oh, thank you.
Just give him a short, respectful bow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just thought it was gonna be.
Sorry, say that again, Luka. You're cutting out.
I thought it was gonna be a bro nod.
No.
Oh no, I'm gonna fucking pronod at him.
Okay.
I mean,
Don't worry.
Elizabeth's not a bro.
Not yet.
Elizabeth's a fucking, like, she's a cinnamon roll.
Seeing you nod at him, Kelariis, he nods back and gives you a grin.
You know what? I can't. Kelariis is not the type of person to be like, Tritherian's blessing upon you, but I can't resist the urge to needle back a little bit, just because we both kind of know where we're coming from. So like, you know, like as it's kind of like the quick bro nod, it's just fuck, I'm trying to think how. Yeah, I guess and may Tritherian guide your hand.
There's like a subtle eyebrow raise, like, okay then.
I'm sure that's the last person he wants guiding his hand.
Tritherian's fucking great. Excuse you.
Yeah, but you know, just given him and his like, Elizabeth would be very happy with Tritherian's guiding hand, but I don't think he would.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's just it's not done with like,
Yeah.
fuck your church. It's just
No,
like,
yeah.
you gave me, like, you gave us Pelor's blessing. I will kind of tongue-in-cheek give you the blessing of
Yeah.
my deity
Yeah.
back in a weird way.
Yeah.
But, like, the intention behind it is, like, hey, try not to die or get fucked up
Yeah.
when we're gone, I guess.
Well, it's may the Lord of Justice and Retribution guide your hand when administering said acts.
Yeah, you know.
He
I
is
think that
he is a lawmaker. Like, that is a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a great blessing, personally.
Yeah.
Yes, of course you do. Because you're not biased.
I mean, he is not offended. It's yeah.
It's a valid blessing.
It's,
Thanks, Luka.
You're
all
welcome.
blessings are valid.
So you depart from the cathedral.
Is Catherine around? I guess I'd ask.
Oh yeah. So yeah, you, as you're sort of making depart, you ask what happened to Catherine, and he says, I believe Catherine is receiving medical attention. I do not know where exactly it is that they have taken her, but I expect if you ask after her at the apothecary, you will likely find her.
Well, I'll see if I can find her that way. Thank you.
Okay. So, apothecary or church? Or temple.
Secret
rather.
underground church.
Unless people have. I don't know how. Apothecary first. We'll deal with the other bit later.
So you, after a bit of asking around, make your way down a few streets to basically like the large two-story, like it's almost like it would serve the function of like a modern doctor's surgery, as well as having like a pharmacy outlet sort of thing out front. But you sort of step inside, and the overwhelming like smell of herbs and chemicals just sort of washes over you, that you're sort of used to in these sort of places. You walk up to basically like there's a small waiting area and a very sort of beleaguered looking apothecary in like a heavy white robe, sort of standing behind the desk, going through some various concoctions. And upon asking for Catherine, she directs you to a room in the back, which you enter, and basically lying down on like a wooden bench, like lying face down on a wooden bench with like her I don't know what to call it really. Her ceremonial robe sort of like open down to her shoulders. Is Catherine with like as you step in, like there's a another apothecary who's like very very carefully sort of like cleaning the wound and applying a poultice. He sort of looks up. Says, usually we only have 2 guests at a time. It gets rather crowded in here otherwise, and it's difficult to work. Do you mind?
Not at all. You guys know better than I do. Elizabeth, more than happy to wait
Yep.
outside.
You step out to the corridor.
Yeah. Oh.
Catherine just sort of like she can't look up at you because she's like facing away from you, but she says, "So, how are things?"
Well, I guess to save time, we. That's hard because there's somebody else in here too. Okay, yeah, so probably not a full explanation because the other guy's still here. Things are under control for the moment, broadly speaking. At least.
That's good to know.
How are you feeling? I mean, I'm glad that you've been able to get actual medical attention. Just kind of like, I guess she can't see me, but I just
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, the apothecary just sort of says, she is doing fairly well for somebody who's received such a serious injury. I think perhaps had the bolt been any higher, it might have been lethal. But whatever you did for her, it was the right thing to do. I'm assuming you used some form of magic, because I've never seen a wound heal quite like this before.
Yeah, it's it is the best I could think to do at the moment.
Well, I will tell you here and now, it was the right thing to do. We do not see these kind of wounds often, but usually those who come in with them have expired some time ago. It is not usually the kind of wound that people live through, so consider yourselves very lucky.
Well, it's good to see that she's doing better.
Yes, I don't think I'll be getting into any dangerous scrapes anytime soon. But,
No.
well, to be honest, I wasn't even intending to get into this one.
I don't think
Sorry, say that again?
I don't think any of us were.
No, perhaps not. It's worrying to know that there are people out there who, well, shoot first and ask questions later, even when the individual in question is just a passing civilian.
Unfortunately, I think we've seen more than our fair share of people like that in the places that we've been. But it seems that hopefully that won't be the case here as much now.
Let us hope. I got out of my old business to avoid things like this.
LOL.
Well, I think you've done a fairly good job of it besides this incident, from what I understand.
Forgive my prying, but did they say why they targeted me?
I'm trying to remember out of character. I don't think we heard anything.
You have not talked to the person who attacked her because he was not conscious when you arrived.
Oh, he was the unconscious one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But you did hear the halfling did mention that, or did at least say that the Cabal usually try to avoid killing, which made this exceptional.
Right. I'm trying to think of... It's hard because there's somebody else in the room that doesn't need to hear all the details of this, so I'm trying to think how to word that. I'm afraid Not anything exact, though. It seemed like it was an unusual circumstances for the people that were involved.
Oh, well.
To be quite honest, it may have just been because you weren't associated with us, and I'm sorry if that was the case.
That, yes, she just sort of, she doesn't really know how to respond to that revelation.
I mean, like, it's a little bit of a leap of logic, but I feel like it's not that far of one to make, considering
Yeah, I
the
agree with you.
circumstances of everything else we know. I believe that Paladin Ramos may have a few more details when you're feeling a bit better, and if we haven't left, I don't think any of us would be opposed to talking. So, rest
Well.
is important first, though.
The apothecary, like as he like finishes putting the poultice down, says, yes, I can certainly agree with that statement.
Sounded like a pointed, get the fuck out of here.
It kind of
Yeah, it
was.
Yeah, maybe it was.
It's that moment where the doctor is trying to do something and the person is having a conversation while they're doing it, and he's just like, just fuck off already.
Sounds about right.
Well, the wound is now clean, and if you rest it well enough and make sure it remains clean, then it should have a full recovery. You will most likely have a scar. You'll most likely have a scar.
Oh,
Could be both.
You'll most likely have a scar. I'm afraid there's nothing I can do about that, except unless your friends here have any more magic.
can we get rid of scars?
I think if we fully heal something with magic, did we not say that it
Um,
was scar?
Yes, although in this case that's for like regular like cuts and things like that. An injury this bad, you'd probably need like regenerate or something to remove the scar tissue. Because this is like a through and done like crossbow bolt. It's pretty serious.
Probably not then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It won't be particularly noticeable to the casual observer because it's like literally in her shoulder blade.
Oh, and it's probably covered most of the time as well, isn't
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
She's
backless
walking.
dresses are out the window.
Yeah, she's not walking around parading. I was gonna
Or
say,
you could
like,
show it off and be super
Yeah.
cool about it.
Yeah.
Which is what I would do, or Kelariis would do.
yeah, what a badass.
Actually, I wouldn't. Kelariis would do
Yeah.
that.
I mean, you just need a tank top for that.
Oh yeah.
my god.
Yeah. Sun's out, guns out.
Sun's out, guns out.
Yeah, she sort of like sits up on the bench and says, "Well, I don't know what was in that drink that you gave me, but I think I'll stay sitting down for a little while first." And the apothecary just sort of says, "Yes, that would be advisable. It will take some time for that to fully go through your system and you to recover your functions." She sort of like looks up at you and says, "Well, thank you for coming to see me, at least."
Yeah, I'm very glad to see that you're doing better and that it's going to heal well, it seems.
Before you go, can I ask a favor of you?
Sure.
Whilst I was sitting in the church, I had, well, what felt like an eternity to think. And I think I've made up my mind on, well, I think I'm ready to talk. To Vel, that is.
Right. Would you like me to see if I can find him and send him here now, or will you seek him out?
I think once this is worn off, I will find him. What he said the other day was rude and incredibly selfish, but he had a good point. Or at least good intentions. There is bad blood between us, and if we don't try and solve it, we never will. And really the only way is to talk about what we did. And I've been avoiding that for a long time because it was difficult. And I think he felt the same. But I think perhaps now maybe I have a little more perspective.
I can understand that, and I can understand where you're from with that. If I see him beforehand, I will let him know that you'll come to him when you're ready, but I cannot guarantee that I will see him before you do. Well, I might, but we'll see.
Well, I guess I will see you around.
You said a favor, though, or was it just to let him know if I see him?
Yes, that's the majority of it. It's
Easily done, don't worry.
thank you.
Of course.
It has taken quite a deal of, well, courage to even think about what I will say to him, but I want him to be ready for this. It's not going to be an easy conversation for either of us.
You are brave to be ready to have this conversation now after everything that's happened so recently.
I think now is the only... well, I think what has happened is the only reason I am ready to do it.
I understand that.
Thank you.
Well, take care of yourself, and perhaps we will see each other again before the rest of us leave the city.
If not, well, it's been good to see you again.
It has been very nice. I wish maybe it was less dramatic circumstances, but it was still nice to see you regardless.
It seems every time I run into you, you're wrapped up in something. Perhaps next time we can meet without some sort of pressure hanging over either of our heads.
Doubtful.
Wow.
Ever practical Arya.
Yep.
Yup.
We'll see.
Hey man, we got a price to pay for being the main characters in this story.
God, apparently so does everybody else around us.
I mean, y'all can take a holiday.
Holiday? What's
Yeah.
that?
We don't take holidays.
Also, I don't think that works while you're being like tested by a Cabal.
No.
I mean, in some ways, that's like a big fuck you to them. Like, hey, shove your rules.
I mean,
Never mind.
y'all basically had like a 3-month holiday while you built a fucking fortress.
That wasn't a holiday.
It was a
That
working
was
holiday.
hard labor.
Fucking holiday.
You guys didn't actually build any of it.
Hard labor.
We were.
Wait.
Some of us were training and stuff though.
Yeah,
Yeah, that wasn't a holiday.
but you did
It's
have
fine.
holiday in between. Anyway,
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, basically, I wish her well, and we'll exit before the doctor continues
Yeah.
to give us dirty looks. I
he
imagine.
he has been just like dagger eyeing you like the whole time you've been standing there.
I give like a not even sassy, but just like a little tiny bow, like
Yeah.
we'll be out. That's a little sassy.
Yep.
But
It's a little sassy.
it's a tiny bit
You,
sassy.
you swear as the door closes. You can hear the grinding of teeth.
It'll be fine. He needs a little spice in his day, probably.
Yeah. Probably
Little
such a
spice-
drag.
Yeah, that's not somebody coming in with a fucking crossbow bolt wound.
Yeah.
Is she okay then?
She'll be fine, it sounds like. Might have a bit of a scar, but...
Yeah.
Shrugs.
Yeah, sometimes you get scars in your life.
Yeah, just a few.
Yeah. Well, they're good reminders.
Grim rubs his eye.
Ugh.
Wait, is it on his eye or is it on his? I can't remember if that was
No,
Vondal.
it's,
It's on the, no, it's on your
yeah, that's-
cheek, isn't it?
It's on his
Cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vondal is I.
Vondal somewhere in the distance touches his eye, like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Why does it feel like I'm being talked about?
Oh. Instead of getting hot ears when people talked about him, he just becomes suddenly aware of his scar.
That's a weird.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
Everyone's
specifically
talking about him, he's
Yeah.
just like,
Like a 3-foot Harry Potter.
3-foot Harry Potter.
Damn.
I'm now just having this mental image of like Grim is just like rubbing his cheek, like Vondal's like rubbing under the eye. Eye is like rubbing like along the sides of her arms, and then Kelariis is just like rubbing everywhere. Just like, look at me, I'm covered in it.
yeah.
Scars all over the place.
A belly
Scars for
rub.
days.
Did you just say belly rub?
Yeah, 'cause you have like scars on your like belly, right?
I have scars fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
god.
Belly rub.
Oh my god.
But yeah.
Imagine Kelariis getting a belly rub.
I kind of
That
ima-
person's getting thrown.
I kind of imagine it like when you know when you like when you're rubbing a cat, but it doesn't entirely trust you, and it's like doing the hand wave like it's about to hit you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
Bap, 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 bap.
It's like you're on thin ice, my friend.
Yeah.
Thin ice. Better watch what you're doing there, buddy, or you'll be
I can-
you'll take a one-way ticket to Pain City.
I could throw you across this room without even batting an eye.
damn.
Some people are
Probably
into
true
that.
for a lot of people, to be fair.
Are they?
Wow!
Yeah, definitely. So people are definitely into that.
Anyway,
Anyways.
Nothing gives off more Dom vibes than throwing you across the room.
Oh
you
my god.
you depart the apothecary. Okay. By this point, it's getting towards like late afternoon, early evening.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, should we go seek out the temple people, or?
Secret
Um,
Shishi Temple.
Kelariis, from being here previously, you do know that they are likely to be gathering for an evening service at some point in the near future.
Yeah. The thing is, Kelariis kind of doesn't want everybody else to go because of some shit she wants to talk about.
I
but,
mean,
like,
if she doesn't want us to go, just say it.
Yeah. This-
yeah, no, I know.
Because yeah, you'd just be like, I'm just gonna go take care of something, and
Yeah, well, it's just like she's not gonna be like, "Don't come with me." because she doesn't like. It's not that she doesn't trust everybody to be there. It's just that she's got some shit.
Yeah,
She
you
wants
got personal
I mean-
shit.
As long as you don't try to sneak away first and then immediately like teleport away,
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah, as long as you're not pulling an Elizabeth.
You
I
should
mean,
just have
unlike-
started with the teleports, of course. Then it would have been way better.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Wow.
No. Unless any of you have any particular desire to talk to somebody or to any of them, I think I would prefer to go alone.
Well, I mean, I don't know him, so shrug.
If you want to go
I mean,
alone,
if you
that's
want to
fine.
attend service, you can always come and then leave afterwards, but
Mm,
I feel
Um,
like that's not really the cup of tea of anybody here.
no.
I've just realised actually. Tallithsyr, who is with you, will pipe up and sort of say, "I'd like to come along, but if there's something personal you have to do, then I could not, or I could wait outside."
I mean, you mentioned service, and now suddenly I'm interested.
I mean, that's
How
why
about-
Tallithsyr wants to go.
Yeah, I was like, I think to be quite honest, I think she like Kelariis was going to take Tallithsyr anyway, but
Yeah.
probably would have been like, I'm gonna step away for like a little bit and have a conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Whilst you go do that, we can refill some supplies, I guess.
Yeah, get ready for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you
Elizabeth
need
is
any
just gonna be
gold
like,
from
I mean,
us?
if there's a service, I'll like, can I tag along, and then I'll just vanish. Like, I'll be like, I wasn't there. Ooh.
Just gonna like, buy some torches, some chalk, that kind of stuff.
Do you need any money from us before we go? Pitch in.
Well, we can
I-
resolve that if Grim does some shopping, and then you can divvy it up afterwards, like
Yeah, fair enough.
retroactively, just to save RP.
I mean, Elizabeth would just like casually point out one of her coin purses is empty, and is like, yeah, I don't have much.
We can fix it.
You have multiple coin purses?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that stands out so that people try to steal that, and then the one that's tucked
Yeah.
away.
Yeah,
You
it's
got one.
it's the money clip.
Oh, you got one for
I
bronze.
take the fake coin purse and I throw it to one side whenever someone tries to mug me, and then run.
You know what though? That would be
That's
way
actually
less
smart.
expensive. Yeah, because that's like way less expensive. You just fill it with like
Yeah.
shitty rocks or something. It's so much easier to fake a fake coin purse than like
Yeah.
a
Than,
money.
like a
fill it-
fake dollar
Or
bill.
you put
Yeah.
like 10 copper in it.
Or magic missile.
Or that.
No, I don't want to
Or-
fucking kill the guy. I'll just do hold person and then yell guard.
Yeah, precisely. getting mugged is not really a concern that you have as a 12th level wizard.
No.
Or you could just punch them.
Or you can just
Just
punch
saying.
them.
Just knock them out. It's fine.
Yeah, the only people that are going to be a serious problem if they try to mug you is, say, for example, a Baylor.
Can I just point out, Elizabeth trying to punch the mugger may actually go badly.
Well, let's just say that wasn't blanket advice.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at
Yeah,
that.
because, you know, Elizabeth would technically do 0 damage with a punch. Minus
it's
1
gonna-
strength.
Well,
Right, except you can only get one. It's like, yeah.
Actually,
Still,
any-
it'd be really hard to hit a punch.
I've been wrong on that before. It is not possible to get 0 on a damage dice.
Oh?
Nope.
I thought it was,
Mi-
'cause I was reading through the book earlier and it said that.
I think the only exception is through what's it called, heavy armor training, because you get this flat negative -3.
Oh, yes, but that's taking damage away, that's not the roll.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yes. Yeah, it's possible to reduce damage, it's not possible to roll a 0 or a negative on a damage dice. Or on any
Does
roll,
actually-
for that matter.
It does actually say in the player's handbook, with a penalty, it is possible to deal 0 damage, but never negative damage.
Oh, okay then. I take that back. Anyway,
Unless it was
I thought it
changed.
did.
Anyway.
Yeah, unless it's been changed since the
I don't
player's
think it
handbook.
has. Anyway. So, who is going and who is not?
guess Grim and I will stay back.
Okay. So, if you guys want to look through same rules as always when you're in a city. If there's anything from the item list in the player's handbook you want to buy, you can just obtain it.
Yes. Of course.
At marked cost. So go ahead and write up a shopping list if you want anything. So for the rest of you, you head to the garden, open the hatch, and descend into the temple. Inside, you are greeted by Dom and Veltz and Cassian, three guardians who sort of there's sort of like a surprise that you've brought along two people that they've not met really.
I met Tallithsyr.
I think by not met really he means not met much.
Yeah,
Not
like
seen very often.
yeah, it's like turning up to like evening mass, but bringing two complete strangers, where they're sort of like, oh, okay, hi, are you here for this or?
Yeah.
But yeah, Belt sort of says, "What? It's good to see you again. I'm glad that you're okay. There was quite the kerfuffle earlier. I didn't find out too much about it, but I take it you were involved."
I mean, I think that's a fair assumption with the history that we have.
I had my suspicions.
Yeah, we're a bit troublemakers.
You're not here.
We're not even
I'm not
troublemakers,
here.
We just bring shit with us wherever we go.
Yeah.
No
We travel. The shit follows us. We don't cause shit.
I
Well, sometimes we-
feel like this is a story that perhaps you'll have to tell me sometime.
Yes, of course.
But yes,
But service first.
we were just about to begin. So yeah, you're welcome to participate. Tallithsyr just sort of like steps in and is like, please, I've never done this before, but I'm eager to learn. Veltz just sort of nods and smiles and says, yeah, of course, it's not common that we get new participants.
Yeah, Elizabeth just points at the Tallithsyr and goes, what she said.
Okay. So, over the course of 30-40 minutes, there is a dedication ceremony to Tritherion. Elizabeth, you've been to like church services before. This is very different in that a lot of church services they're all about pledging allegiance and service to a deity and reminding people of their responsibilities and stuff as a good like a good citizen under the deity's rule. The service to Tritherion is very different. It is as much an upholding of values and agreements to be a positive influence in things and to stand up when nobody else stands up. It's a lot less of like it's a much more intimate ceremony. Like there's moments where they'll turn to one another and recite a pledge, and then one of them will say something back, rather than just being like led by one particular person. This Velt is quite clearly like heading the service, but everyone seems to sort of have some sort of form to chip in, even if there isn't sort of like a set of prescribed words to say or anything. But yes, it's very different to any service that you've previously experienced.
She's taking mental notes.
Okay. After a while, yeah, the service concludes, and a couple of small offerings are burned on the altar. And then Velt sort of turns back and says, well, Kelariis, thank you for being part of this. It's not often we get to hold such a ceremony under the eye of someone as prestigiously viewed as yourself.
My god, a celebrity!
Kelariis forgets that, like... I think that sometimes Kelariis genuinely forgets that she's considered to be, like, kind of important, because... Like, knowing it on an in the sense of, like, yeah, like, I have the artifacts, and, like, that was my thing, and that, like, I have kind of sort of direct contact, and I'm a paladin. It's different than being told that you're kind of...
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, like...
you're wielding the 3 artifacts of Tritherion, which is an act that has only really ever been done by, like, maybe 2 people, and one of them is Tritherion, so... Yeah.
Yeah.
You're kind of a big...
Basically,
I don't think she
kind of a
thinks
big
herself
deal.
that way, though. I don't think... Well, she doesn't carry... Like, she doesn't think of herself and carry herself like, look at me, I'm the big deal here, but...
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like... Probably, like, blinks a little bit and just... I mean, thank you for allowing me to be part of the ceremony, and, or the service, and... that my companions were also able to join.
He nods and smiles and sort of says, it's different to share the temple with others, but I think from my discussions with Cassian, it's something that we may have to get used to moving forwards.
Well, it's good to start with people that are familiar and that have good intentions, for sure.
Well, I can safely say, having experienced the ceremony for myself now, that it's... Well, I have a greater understanding of Tritherion himself, in general.
Is that so?
Well, I mean, considering I basically knew about as much as everybody on the street does, which is almost nothing. Yeah, I'd say so.
I suppose that's a fair assumption. It's just, usually when most people talk about knowing a god, they usually have a little more experience.
Well, yeah, but, you know, I just know a little more. Well, it's a lot more compared to what I knew before.
The blind old man that you've been introduced to as Dom sort of like leans towards Kelariis and says, to know someone, to know a deity is something some would consider a great honor, but to know them on a personal level is something some can only dream of.
That is fair, and that makes sense.
Is that something he says like to everyone, or just...
Oh yeah, he says it to all of you, but he leans into Kelariis because, yeah, Kelariis knows things about him that nobody else knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, classic.
Also, Luka died.
Bye, Luka.
Rip.
Bye, Luka.
Ripping pepperoni.
Anyway,
I don't
you were
know
saying.
why I said that.
Oh, I mean, me or...
Well,
Elizabeth?
to the room.
I mean, yeah, Elizabeth's gonna say, like, I mean, as someone who never really is limited their worship to a single deity, I have more respect for Tritherion like that makes it sound like I didn't respect him at all before. I did, but like in a different way. It's complicated.
The old man smiles and like reaches out towards you and says, "I understand what it is that you mean."
Reaches out in what way? Like
Like with like just gestures forwards, like
just
like he's like someone would put their hand on your shoulder, except he doesn't know you well enough to do that. It's just like the hands extended sort of.
Yeah, that's fair. In that case, she's probably just gonna say, "Okay, good," because honestly, sometimes I don't know what I'm on about.
Dom is very good at figuring that out. I've learned in just the bit that I've had the pleasure of interacting with the people here.
I listen. It's something of a habit I've picked up. And like in the background of all this, like Cassian's been going around and sort of like doing the regular Cassian thing of like where she's done with the ceremony, so now she's tidying up and doing everything in a particular regimented pattern like she always does.
Yeah.
Gets done with putting everything away and just sort of like turns back to you all and says, "So where will you go from here?"
That's a very good question.
I mean, for the moment, I believe that we're returning back to, I guess we refer to it as headquarters, home base. How do we refer to the keep?
We need to actually name
Yeah.
it, don't we? We need to give a name to this keep.
Yeah, because it's just like the Amber Eagles. I guess it's a keep, right? Like me
Yeah.
asking at a character
Yeah.
is considered a keep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think for the moment we're planning to return to the keep, but there are some things that came up in light of the recent events. And to like cut short on the explaining, I explain
Yes.
all of it. Like I have no problems telling them pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Elizabeth just presumably looks really sheepish when it comes to explaining the aftermath of the mausoleum fight.
Well, I don't know that Kelariis goes into like specifically that much detail.
Well, yeah, depending on
I'm
how
not-
much detail.
I'm not out here to like cast anybody in a bad light. I
Yeah,
tell
it's
them.
it's more of a like this is what happened to everyone.
I mean, she still probably looks a little bit sheepish just because she then remembers the stuff that happened afterwards. Was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I said some things.
Yeah, like Kelariis is not very extremely pleased with Elizabeth, but not anywhere near as mad as
Yes.
like Arya is at the moment. I don't think so.
Elizabeth, can you do me a favour actually? Now, recapping on this situation, can you roll me an Arcana check, please?
Sure. I've just realised now I haven't actually opened my character sheet. That would have been helpful to do like
We have
at the
Wow.
start of the session.
It's right. It's the beauty of a self-contained app.
Ah.
Okay, no.
Oh, for
Whoops.
fuck's sake!
For fuck's sake! Why am I rolling? I'm rolling a lot of nat ones.
Get him out now.
Cool.
I was like, oh.
So, yeah, Cassian sort of takes in everything that you've just sort of said and says, from the way I see it, you have two options. At least, if your aim is to discover what this Cabal wants with you and your friends, the way I see it, you can either subvert their expectations and chase after them, or perhaps you can perform exactly as they anticipate.
To get them to reveal more as we go.
They seem to be interested in you and your abilities. The more you reveal to them, the more difficult it will become for them to remain distant. Soon they will have to find more innovative ways to test you. Particularly if doing what it is that you are doing is interfering in some way with them.
I mean, I sure hope it is. I do worry about the danger that puts everybody else in around, though. If that. And my hope is that, in a way, going after them and playing into whatever their tests may be can end up being more or less the same path.
She sort of she splays her palms in like an open gesture and sort of says, I only present theories. I do not have sufficient information to suggest anything beyond that, but I think perhaps everyone who operates under your banner is now part of this, whether they like it or not. And to try and split away from that is to invite more trouble, more danger. I think this is a case that can really only be resolved with all of you working to the same goal. I think whatever you decide, it must be something that you are doing unanimously.
I think you are right about that.
This is how these people wish to deconstruct you. They wish to find your weak points. You must appear to them as a fortress.
That might be a bit late for me.
But an individual's weak points are not the same as a group's.
No, it is... At risk of being too blunt about it, there are ways to make up for the weaknesses of others when you work together. That is something it maybe took me a little bit to get through my own head.
At this point, like, Cassian sort of like, there's a momentary side eye to Velt as she says, it is accepting weaknesses that allows us to overcome them.
Does Velt see that, and does he react in any way?
Roll me an insight check.
Okay. Sure.
He definitely sees it, and there's he doesn't react, but the silence is kind of telling.
Right.
Like it was quite clearly leveled at him, and he doesn't have a retort for it.
Although everybody's just like side-eyeing Velt today.
Yeah.
Like, my dude, my guy.
Yep.
That's good.
Oh, Velt. God, Velt is at the level of having just like at least mildly pissed off a lot of people that Grim would have if he didn't have us to cover his fucking
Yeah.
track. He said shit that's like vaguely threatening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, the way I see it is, you're just not giving those people a chance to love him.
Grim?
Wow.
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 What's going on?
Um,
I don't know what's
Yeah.
happening. Yeah. I mean, to what Cassian said, I think that is correct. There are different ways to go about it, of course, but at the end of the day, I think that it is better to acknowledge the weaknesses that you have than to ignore them.
I guess I'm just more than a little concerned about being the weak link in this group.
That's not what I mean, or what any of us here mean.
No, I know. I'm just commenting, like, maybe Arya was right.
Elizabeth, I know that you've not been with us as long as, well, the rest of us have been traveling together. But something that you'll learn very quickly about Arya is that she can be very harsh when she is upset. And though I will admit she is typically truthful in her words, they sometimes come off a bit...
LOL.
Kelariis is like, how do I twist that to make it? She can be very harsh, but she does care at the end of the day. And there are things that we've all been through that make the things that she says and that she sees more intense. But we're all in this together.
From
No, I
from
think it's
Velt's
banned.
from Velt's side of the room, there is a huh.
I just look at him like, do you have something you want to say to me?
Velt, shut the fuck up.
He just like as you turn to him, he just sort of like subtly indicates like Cassian.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I guess then Elizabeth's looking at Cassian all of a sudden.
Touche, Velt. Y'all gotta stop throwing shade at each other, but touche.
Yeah.
I think I think a lot of people could benefit from having conversations when tensions are less high. As a general rule. Something that I learned too. I'm not looking at anybody when I say that, but I'm definitely directing that at
Yeah.
most of the people in this realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Elizabeth at this point is just gonna say, like, yeah, it makes me wish I'd brought up that stuff with the baton a lot sooner. Like, preferably before that demon showed up.
It's all
Hindsight
going
is
great
clarity.
till the demon showing up.
There are things that we learn only after we've had to deal with the consequences of our actions. That was almost uncharacteristically
Yep.
wise for Kelariis.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
You're turning into Von Dahl.
Oh god.
There's no dad of the party,
Yeah.
so you have to doing extra work
Oh no.
as the mother of the party.
Yeah, sure.
Kelariis' dad joke skill increases by 1.
Oh no.
Oh, now I've got the mental image of Elizabeth just going, Kelariis, I'm hungry.
Uh,
I'm hungry, I'm Kelariis.
It just says that like completely absent-mindedly, and there's just a freeze frame of her, and it's just like the ghost of Vondar just appears over her shoulder.
Yeah.
oh god.
Just like nods.
Not sagely like, yes,
Yep.
good. And then disappears. It's like, no! She has a crisis of identity,
Yeah.
like, who am I?
Oh, now I'm imagining like Kelariis as Luke Skywalker and fucking Von Dahl as Yoda.
Oh my god.
Oh no.
Von Dahl sitting there. When 100 years old you be, look as good you will not.
No, I'll be fucking dead!
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's his
Kelariis
point.
will be dead.
What do you think Yoda's point was when he's saying when 900 years old you be?
That just got
Yeah.
sad.
It did.
God, yeah, I guess as gracefully as possible, it's just kind of like looking to Elizabeth and being. I think perhaps maybe it's time for you to head back to the tavern, unless you have anything else to say here. Or, God, no, sorry, that's not how she words it. That sounds really aggressive and, like, upset. Unless you unless there's something else.
Not that I can think of, but yeah, if your service is done, then yeah, I'll see you back at the tavern.
Yeah. Tallithsyr moves to follow you, like turns back, bows, and says, "Thank you for letting me be part of this."
Elizabeth specifically has a bit where she just like starts like and does the same thing. It's
Yep.
like, yep, I nearly forgot.
Okay. The two of them leave, and yeah, you are alone with the 3.
Oh
Three
boy,
Musketeers.
okay. I mean, I guess it was kind of already brought up, when Kelariis was retelling kind of what happened. in terms of like she did choose to let them pass when in theory she had the ability to kind of like not let the Cabal pass, or at least try not to let them pass. And like I think when she had like originally told that part of it, it was very clear probably to people that know her even a little that that was something that she's not particularly proud that she did, even though I get like looking back on it, she knows that that was probably logically the right choice. See, I think she probably like, I don't know if she directs it more at Dom or at Velt. Probably Dom, just because of the things that she knows about him. And it's just kind of like, well, didn't particularly want to bring it up in front of anybody else, but I don't know if letting them go when I did was the right thing to do. And I feel like in some ways that was a betrayal of what I stand for. What we stand for, even.
Don sort of
And, like,
runs his... Well, he just runs his hand through his beard as he's sort of thinking about it. Carry on.
Oh, I mean, it was just like, Kelariis doesn't often hold herself in a way that doesn't project some degree of, like, confidence. This is probably, like, one of the few times where, like, in a very, very long time, she's not super confident about it. And, like, that hasn't really been projected throughout, like, all of the stuff that's been happening, since this, like, the whole, encounter with, like, the Cabal, but, like, here, like, specifically because, like, she wanted to talk to people here about it, like, she probably is not as confident and, like, looking down more than she usually does, which is really weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think that I'm necessarily looking for someone to tell me that what I did was right. Or maybe, or that it was wrong. And maybe it was in either direction, I don't know, but it hasn't sat well with me. I don't know what to do about that.
I think there is only one person who can truly tell you whether or not it was the right thing to do. It is beyond the wisdom of any of us to judge that. But I agree that had I been in that situation, perhaps I would have felt the same. Unable to do anything without risking my life or the lives of my companions, I cannot say I would not have made the same decision. But I was not there. But one thing does spring to mind. The feeling that you feel, that uncertainty, that displeasure in letting happen what happened. I think that is what makes you one of us more than anything, more than even carrying those artifacts on your back. It's that unpalatable feeling of knowing that injustice was allowed to come to pass. And I think the thing that will determine... Well... The thing that will determine where you go next is how best to deliver on that vengeance.
I guess what I worry is how I will put, or is how my actions and my decisions may put the lives of those that I care about on the line. Because as much as I would have done it in the past, I can't go into it alone now. I've learned that having people with me is important, and that I trust them. But I don't want to throw them into danger because I make a decision that is reckless.
Dom turns to Velt, who's been sort of like looking at... He's been listening to the conversation, but doesn't really know how to respond to the things that have been said. Dom turns to Velt and says, "Velt, would you fetch the text that we read from tonight?" "Of course." He sort of steps aside, comes back with a book. And Dom directs him to a page and says, "Would you read that, please?" That sort of like very uncomfortably just sort of like starts to read. And the story is it's one that you've heard before, but like haven't ever really sort of had a connection to directly. It's the story of how basically the spirit of humanity is stolen away by Bane and by Bane, Vecna, and Tharizdun in an attempt to basically bend the servitude of humanity to the darker powers rather than to the veneration of Celestia. And he gets to a paragraph a short way through where just after the spirit of humanity has been taken and Tritharion finds out, and he goes to Helm and Tempest, I believe it is, and he basically like organizes what is essentially the crusade into the abyss to bring them back, or crusade into the negative planes to bring the spirit of humanity back. And after he finishes reading, Dom says, "Something about that particular story has always stuck with me. The decree of Torm was that Tritharion and the others not act, that it be resolved by another method. They should talk about it and then gather their strength and, if necessary, return to Celestia. But despite the inherent dangers Tritherian knew what needed to be done. And he did not drag Helm and Tempest along for the ride. He went to them, and what were the words he used again? And he sort of turns to Velt, and Velt says, he asked. And Dom sort of like lays his hands out and says, I think that is all that we can do. If you are concerned about your friends following you into these dangers, ask them. Ask them if they are prepared. Ask them if they are willing to sacrifice. And if they say no, then that decision is made for you. And if they say yes, then it becomes their decision. And that is what all of this is for. The right to choose. If everyone had that right, then there would be no need for a Church of Tritherian.
You're right. To hear it put that way is helpful, and it is different to hear it from somebody else than to think of it in the back of your own head. Thank you.
Sort of bows and says, I know it's not quite such a definite answer than perhaps you were expecting, but I hope it does you some good. Well,
I think it has.
I'm glad. Well, I suppose it is about time that we made tracks. I believe the others have places to be. I have some duties to attend to, but I'm in no hurry to leave. If you wish to speak some more, then I may spare you some time, but I think it's only fair that we give the others a chance to say their goodnights.
Yes. I think that if I may stay here for a bit,
Of course.
I'd like to do that, but thank you all for your time.
They bow to you and sort of disappear off up the corridor.
Oh, I guess I stop Velt like very
Yeah.
quickly before he leaves, and just kind of. Catherine mentioned that she'd be coming to talk to you soon. I don't know when, but she wanted me to pass that along.
He looks surprised, so says, "Oh, that is good news."
I think after the things that happened, she said that she was ready to have a conversation. Just kind of like pat him on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Yep, like, good luck, buddy.
Yeah,
He's probably gonna cheer you out a little bit, but you'll be fine.
yeah. He
Oh,
sort of
definitely go to it.
he nods and sort of like places a hand on your forearm and sort of says, "I must thank you for that, actually. Despite our fallings out and differences, we were friends once, and ordinarily I think perhaps I would have had this happened, and under other circumstances I may have gone out seeking vengeance for her myself, but to know that you've done it on my behalf, thank you.
Of course. I'm glad that I was able to help.
Well, I guess I'd best go and gather my thoughts.
Perhaps.
Well, here's hoping that this is the bridge that Cassian keeps talking about.
I think it may be, but I guess you'll know after it happens, so.
He smiles and then disappears.
Bye, Belle. Good luck.
Okay.
Good luck, buddy.
So you're going to stay here for a little while?
Yeah, I mean, my intention is to, like, sit and have a little bit of a think and pray, but we can, like, either come back to it or, like, skim over the fact that that's just a thing that happens. I don't know. Like, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you spend some time with your thoughts. The rest of you, Grim, you spend the afternoon going around the market and buying all the things that you need to buy.
Yep.
Okay.
I had a list.
Buying a crowbar?
Well, like, you always have one on you, and I was like...
That is yours, I'm pretty sure, you know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's your crowbar.
Yeah.
At this point, I feel like it's just... An extra one doesn't hurt.
Yeah, that's fair.
How many crowbars do we need?
One for
Two.
each of us.
Apparently.
2. It's fine. Yeah,
Oh,
just
before I
mainly
forget,
just
you
resupply
dropped
it.
this Black Mesa. But yeah, so you spend a decent portion of the afternoon going around and gathering all of these things, and then I presume you head back to the tavern.
Yeah. I
Okay.
assume that's where we'll meet up.
Yes.
Who gets back first from the tavern?
Who gets back
Guess
first?
me- like, yeah, me and-
Grim and Arya,
like-
definitely.
Yeah, fair
But-
enough.
Because yeah, you guys are in a surface for like an hour.
Yeah,
Um,
Elizabeth kind of wants to have a chat.
yeah,
with
so
Arya.
so Grim and Arya are sort of like sat at a table when you step through into the tavern.
I mean, I guess Elizabeth probably dead sheepishly like walks over to them, looking at Arya and says, "Can I talk to you for a moment?"
This is where playing Arya's hard, because Arya's such a hard ass, and I'm like such a not hard ass. I guess she kind of just like puts there a drink or whatever, and is like, yeah, I guess.
Cool.
You like Grim just like gets off the bench and you like slide into his place. Grim goes and sits in a booth with Tallithsyr.
I guess I want to apologize for what happened at the mausoleum. I did go a little too far. I just panicked in the moment and I didn't know what to do.
I understand that you have less experience than we do, but what you did with the counterspell, taking away my free will, it can't happen again.
I know, it's just that every part of my brain was screaming this was a bad idea. And it's not like when your brother's trying to sneak into the kitchen to steal a pastry, you know, the people's lives are on the line.
Arya, who's never had a kitchen or a brother.
What do you mean? You have a brother?
Yeah, you
Well,
have.
I do have a brother.
Yeah, you have a brother now, and you definitely had a kitchen, but
I guess it.
Gosh, Arya.
Yeah. So yeah, and she's just like, you know, and I know I've only just met you guys, but that doesn't mean I'd be okay if you were just killed.
I know, but last time someone held me down, I had to watch my best friend die. So you can understand that having someone do that again was not exactly a fun experience. Hashtag PTSD. Manifests
Yeah.
in weird fucking ways.
Yeah. Elizabeth just go, yeah, that's... Yeah, I didn't think of that at the time. I'm really sorry.
And I'm sorry I tried to charge head in, but those people were clearly evil. And to
I'm...
walk away was very hard.
Yeah, I'm not gonna dispute that much. It's just you were very, very beat up, like not 5 minutes before they showed up. Magic can only do so much, you know?
Yeah. You know, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Clearly they're much more powerful spellcasters than we expected.
On a completely different note, because I very much brought down the mood, and I don't like low moods.
No, I think it's good. I think we talked through our shit.
I guess we did.
Yeah. Now we're chill again.
Yeah, she just smiles and is like, I actually wanted to... I've been kind of wanting to ask everyone about this, but I've always been too worried of wasting time, but, like, not much is going on. Like, do you remember much about, like, training?
To be a ranger?
Yeah.
Well, little do you know,
Yeah.
I just finished my training a couple months.
Yep.
I just graduated.
Literally just
'cause-
graduated.
yeah.
What?
And she's just gonna go, because I promised my sister I'd... Well, she made me promise to tell her how other people trained if I ever found out.
Yeah, I can tell you about it.
Yeah.
And then Arya starts to tell her.
Yeah, Elizabeth
About all
will
the
take
ranger
lots of
training.
notes.
Yeah. Arya proceeds to tell you about what is essentially the Duke of Edinburgh, but with blink dogs hunting you.
That sounds
I don't know what that
terrifying.
means, and that sounds very British.
The Duke of Edinburgh is basically where you take a bunch of children out on a mountain and then say, go survive for 3 days.
What
Yeah,
the
basically.
fuck? What? What?
They
I mean,
don't do
it's-
it out of. They don't do it out of nowhere. They like teach you how to do it in safe
Yeah.
conditions first,
It-
and then you go for the award.
It's a survivalist exam. It is monitored, but yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my god.
it's yeah. But it's one of those things where it's like you get out of high school and everyone, or like you're about to leave high school and everyone's going, do the Duke of Edinburgh, and make colleges really happy and universities.
It looks
really
great
happy.
on your CV, and then nobody cares.
Yeah, basically. It's one of those things where they really hype it up and then no one cares.
I see.
It's meant to be a big deal because the Duke of Edinburgh is like, oh, he's giving you an award, isn't this great?
But then it's like everyone gets the award basically.
Yeah, because everyone gets encouraged to do it. Although it's one of the it's one of the things I refuse to do because camping in the woods with people I don't know, no thanks.
Yeah.
Hard pass.
Fair enough.
So that's basically what Arya went through, except they didn't give you like a tent to go with or anything like that.
Make your own tent.
Yeah. You just have to bivvy it.
Elizabeth makes a lot of notes. She probably like fills a page, like just all the notes,
All the notes.
all of
Yeah.
the notes.
Like after a short while of seeing that you guys are talking, like Tallithsyr like gets up from the thing with Grim, goes to the bar, like comes back, like puts like a bunch of mugs down on the table and is like, so, are we good now?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I think so.
I thought maybe we could have a drink, except I can't legally buy anything here, so it's just water.
Oh, sweet Babby.
I mean, the gesture is very much appreciated.
It is appreciated.
I'm just surprised they can tell Dragonborn age.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I
true.
think it's less that and more that Tallithsyr is just like, I don't want to.
Sure.
I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah.
fuck the laws, but also the
Wow.
Syrah's good.
Yeah.
Fuck the
Syrah's
rules.
so
I mean-
smart, and I love her.
You only break the laws that get in your way. I'm not sure this
Yeah.
counts as getting in the way.
No.
No,
I mean,
it
it's
doesn't.
Yeah,
in the
we
way
have
of
alcohol.
something.
Elizabeth's also gonna look at Tallithsyr and be like, sorry, I kind of threw you in the deep end as I walked past you. I was
She
kind of mad.
she sort of like just is like, yeah, no, I've had it much worse.
Oh my god.
My girl.
Syrah
Well,
is like
just
one of the
take-
most underrated funny characters in this party.
Yep. Yeah, and Elizabeth just go, I'll just take your word for that.
I mean, you guys hired her, and then the second day on the job, a hell giant chucked a rock at her head.
Yeah.
Look, it's the hazards of the job, alright?
True, but also that was one of the most panic-inducing moments I have ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jayla's like, oh god, this child's gonna die!
I know. I
The
was
rock
like,
could-
no,
yeah.
Please.
it could legit have killed her, but
Yeah, that was rough. That was extremely rough.
That would have been a detour, probably.
Yeah.
Like, resurrecting Tallithsyr.
Actually, that wouldn't have been because we had the diamond dust.
Oh yeah.
It would have been
Oh,
fine.
Got it right there.
She just would have had a literal death experience.
yeah.
Yeah, but
I was about to say near death experience, but
what about our 300 gold friend?
Shush.
Yeah.
It's oh god, it would have set a horrible precedent for people that serve under
Yep.
Tritharion to fucking almost die.
Yep.
Yep.
You
Oh my
you,
God.
you swear yourself to Tritharion and then almost die on the first mission every time.
Instantly.
yeah.
Or that's what
That's
gets
just the
his
way
attention.
it be.
That's what gets his attention, and then he's like, "You, I like you."
Yeah. You nearly
Yeah.
died, but you didn't. Have
Ye-
a lollipop.
You joke, but that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, I mean,
That's how Kelariis got picked. That's how Jasmala got picked.
yeah.
If you want to
You
serve
nearly
Tritharion,
died. I like
you
you.
have
Have
to
a lollipop.
die. But then you have to survive.
Almost
The key
die.
thing is you have to survive.
Well, yeah, duh. He's not just gonna bring someone back from the dead just because they died.
I mean,
Yeah.
he might. I don't know. Shit.
Yeah.
I mean, he can
I
do
think-
that. It's just.
I mean, yeah, he can. Could you imagine that? Someone like fucking goes down trying to take on a criminal organization solo, just resurrects them. He's like, I like you.
Oh, he would totally do that. I
Yeah.
could see him doing that.
Yeah. That's because you always had the cool dad.
Cool dad.
Excuse me, he's Uncle Tritherian for a reason, okay?
Yeah.
He's the cool guy.
Yeah, like I said, Trithera is the cool uncle, and Torm is the dad who's always away on business. You only ever see him on the weekends, and even then for about an hour.
Oh God.
Oh.
That's the difference
it's
between
gonna-
the two.
So, maybe another. I don't know. How long do you think Clara stays in the temple?
Probably like. Oh God, I don't know. I feel like a couple of hours feels too long. But I
I
can
don't know.
also
Depends how many thoughts you have to gather.
Yeah, I was like, but I can also very clearly or easily see her getting like very lost and just
Yeah.
sitting there and just thinking about shit. So I don't know. Probably around then.
Yeah, you just sit there like deep in thought and prayer, and the first thing you notice that it's getting late is like Dom comes in and just puts some food next to you, and you're like, oh, I'm hungry. I've been here a while.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit.
Sounds about right.
Whoops.
Like me playing Dragon Quest.
Like me playing anything.
But yeah, you eventually, after a couple of hours, like the tavern door opens and Clara steps in.
I mean, Elizabeth will just be like, "Hi, Kelariis."
Hi. Sorry, I'm a bit later than I expected.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, yeah, it's fine. It's not. I mean, it's not like there's anything important happening.
You say that like there is. Did I miss something?
No, I'm like genuinely there's not. I'm just.
I guess you missed out on peace.
Yeah, you missed out on amnesty.
I guess I probably taken that Elizabeth and Arya are sitting next to each other now.
Yeah, and Elizabeth just has lots and lots
Yeah.
of notes written.
I
She's
kind of like
probably-
look
Yep.
at Arya, raise an eyebrow, like, what up?
It's probably actually been super awkward and written them in Elvish,
Yeah,
just to be extra.
Thalithsyr, who's sitting on the end of the bench, like looks up at you, Kelariis, and just mouths, "What does that mean?"
What, pointing at the paper?
No, she doesn't understand the word amnesty.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, do we,
She's a small bab.
I guess there's probably an equivalent of it in Draconic.
Yeah,
And if she still looks confused, like, I'll explain it to her. Like,
yeah, like you say the word in Draconic, and she's like, "Oh, okay."
yeah. I figure
Yeah.
it's something that she knows in Draconic, and it's just like hearing it in common.
Yes. Because she has a formal education, but it's entirely in a different language.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm like,
Elizabeth-
I can
Oh.
translate that one.
Yeah. Elizabeth's reaction to that will be to say in Draconic, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you didn't know that word."
She just kind of looks a little awkward.
There's a reason why we all stick to common.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
much as possible.
I don't know. We had a time when we were still around Silverbrook where I think I didn't under.
Yeah.
Three of us
Like
were
everybody having conversations in Sylvan, and it's just like, what the fuck is going on here? Everyone's
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
that's true. There was a lot of Sylvan back in there.
And
Everyone-
I just I sat there and I was like, I don't know what's happening. Somebody will explain it to me, maybe at
Yep.
some point.
everybody
Yeah,
talking
and-
Latin.
I mean, in response to Grim, Elizabeth just goes, "Look, I spent a lot of time learning these languages. I'm gonna use them."
Yeah, but it's
And yet you didn't know some of the swearing, the swearing words.
What?
You didn't know some of the curses.
yeah, but like talking like a language that everyone understands is also a form of well, respect,
Politeness.
politeness as well.
Courtesy.
Yeah, I guess.
And yet some of
I
us
mean,
can't
when you're
even
taught
manage
those-
to speak common with great fluency at times, so there's always that.
I mean, I guess when you only ever have courtesy with people who speak common, you kind of forget that speaking in other languages maybe is not courteous.
I also think it's
Well.
only your first language, says Thalithsyr in character.
Well, speaking of other languages, not sure if it counts, but I picked this up quite a few days ago now. I was gonna give it to you yesterday.
What? Who now? What?
Then I'll pull out the knock scroll.
Slide it across to Elizabeth.
Oh. I mean, I guess she'd probably instantly recognize what it is. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that might be handy.
Yeah.
I'll copy it in when I have time.
Yeah, I thought you might like it.
Sure, we'll have time on the road, at least a little bit.
I mean, I can't write and ride a horse.
Sure, you can. What kind of talk is that?
You haven't tried hard enough.
No, I definitely can't.
This is where you buy a wagon.
I need a stable surface to put the book on, and there isn't a stable surface on the back of a horse.
You're laughing.
That's why you have to park the horse first, then you're in a stable service.
Wow! What?
I can't stand it.
It's great. It's great.
That's
Horse
pretty fun.
puns.
What?
Oh my god.
So,
Yeah, and she also goes, oh, and well, I guess this isn't necessarily the scene, but she very much asks the same thing she asks. She asked Arya to Kelariis. Just like asking about what training was like. Except adding that her sister made a special request that she find out how Dragonborn train.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess you get the lowdown on various, like, God, we probably had some, like, weird, pseudo-strict, like, training things in,
Yes.
like, the military.
I mean, I'm imagining the Spartan Agoge right now, but slightly less intense.
Yeah.
Less-
You know, I don't think Dragonborn are all full-time soldiers, and I don't think that they start at the age of 5.
Well,
I mean,
Actually,
you say that.
Oh,
You
okay, I'm
say
sorry.
that.
Is the Dragonborn just the Agoge?
well, basically from like, you have compulsory military service from like 10 years old until like 17, 18.
Oh, well, there you go then.
Oh, yeah, this is probably the first time that Elizabeth, like, because Kelariis will say that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that Elizabeth knows that Kelariis is not that old. So, make of that what you will, I guess. Because, like, that's not
Yeah.
something Kelariis goes around like, hey, yeah, so by the way, I fucking left the military. They don't really, they're not pleased with me.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine because you've told other people, Elizabeth already knows that.
Not necessarily. I don't think that's something that you share
Yeah.
with somebody else.
Although I suppose, yeah.
Yes.
see her over there? That's a deserter.
Oh my
Yeah, and
god.
if you have a problem with it, I'll throw hands.
Yeah.
Throw
mean-
it.
Well, it's been a while.
I mean, that probably
Yeah.
also means you tell the story of why, and she's like, oh, okay, fair enough.
Eh.
I don't know,
I
if you do, Elizabeth's reaction is to just go, yeah, fair enough.
I mean, if Elizabeth asks, like, why Kelariis is not in the military right now, she'll explain. But,
I
like,
mean, yeah, I guess she
doesn't
probably
just, like,
would. Once you
talk-
put
Yeah.
once you put 2 and 2 together, she probably would.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I mean, like, Kelariis doesn't have any problems talking about it.
Yeah.
It's just,
Elizabeth's just like, oh, fair enough. Carries on like nothing happened.
yeah, like, she probably doesn't specifically mention the fact that, the military probably view her as, like, pretty low
Yeah.
on the scale of, stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you can fill in the blanks. Elizabeth is smart.
Yep.
But yeah.
20 intelligence.
Yeah, I mean, Kelariis probably also talks about just the shit that she has done on her own since leaving the military, which is getting buffer.
Yeah, that's fair.
Getting buffer and fighting with a sword more. Plus,
Yep.
like, she's seen the way that she helps train, especially, like, the Syrah, but, like, probably helps with some of the other people with sword fighting, because that's kind of her thing.
Yeah. And again, because she's extra, she writes it all in Draconic.
Okay.
She's gonna use those languages.
It's like, yeah, you remember that time you saw me doing push-ups with somebody else on top of me doing push-ups? That's basically how I got 20 strength.
Wow.
Yeah. I also just lift things and...
Elizabeth's just like,
Yeah.
I can only do like 10 push-ups.
Oh, we can...
Yeah.
I was gonna say we can work on that, but
It's like you tell the story of how you didn't know what a bench press was, and then people told you off for pressing a bench full of people.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not what a bench press. Oh right, okay, I get it now.
it's like,
I mean, I just imagine now it's just like a long bench. Elizabeth just puts her finger on it. It's like, I pressed it. I did a bench
Ow.
press.
It's not what a bench press is, friend.
There's probably a story about the time I kind of threw Grim at somebody.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
Oh yeah, that I almost forgot that happened.
Oh,
Yeah,
and the
we-
time
yeah.
and the time you carried Grim out of a cave.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's less so impressive because you're just like picking up somebody and carrying them. But like if you chuck somebody at someone else,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
more intense.
Have you ever yeeted a gnome?
Look,
I
You
know.
did a gnome in full armor.
No, we didn't have armor.
yes,
Yeah.
Oh,
no
yeah, you didn't
delivery
have-
service.
I could do it.
Oh my
Still,
god.
yeah, you could do it.
Grim, put your armor on. Let's do it right now.
Quick!
I feel like this.
Tie a bit of rope around his waist, and you can like hammer throw him.
Oh my god.
Oh, that'd be great.
Amazing.
And now my brace just inserted the be gone.
Stop!
What? Grim just flies away over the horizon.
I wonder how far I could actually yeet Grim, like on a good throw.
I don't know.
Uh,
That's a good
well,
question.
I guess
I feel
let's
like we need to figure that out.
let's take a break and do the math.
Hooray!